So yeah, we're page 44. This slide just provides the background for our annual external financial audit, which is conducted per our JPA agreement. It's conducted by Eide Bailey, is our auditor that conducts this review and produces the single audit report and the audit report on the basic financial statements. So this audit covers the period July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. So it precedes the effective date of the CalSAWS operational date. So it applies only to the CalACES financials. So page 45 provides a summary of the results. There were no findings of non-compliance. All financials were presented fairly, so no recommendations were made. So these documents have been issued via a CIT. They're also attached to the meeting materials today. And we've also posted them to our calsaws.org website under About Us and under a subheading of Contracts and Financials. So if anyone needs a copy, because often you guys are asked to provide copies for various reasons, you can go to our calsaws.org website under About Us and get a copy, or also it's in our CIT folder on CalSAWS the calsaws.org website as well. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Holly. Michael, I think that concludes the presentation for agenda item number 9.
So are there any public comments on that presentation item? Any questions from the board members? Okay, then we'll move to the next item. Hearing none.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. Our next item, we are happy to be able to present to you is the state of the CalSAWS project. Instead of myself and Seth Richmond sort of talking through all of the things that have taken place this last year, as well as the things that are going to be coming up as we move to the C4 implementation in 15 months, and then followed about a year late after that, the Tailwind waves. We decided to look to our team to put together something a little bit more innovative, hopefully a little bit more entertaining. And Wendy Batterman, from our executive from ClearBest, has put together a short video that sort of looks back as well as looks forward over the accomplishments of the past, say, 18 months and where we're headed for the next couple of years. It's amazing as you look back, just over the last year, but ever since the CalSAWS project was approved, how much work has been accomplished. And our board, our project steering committee's fingerprints are on all of these items, and we thank them for their leadership and executive direction on that. Also, when we look at about how much has been done, probably about a third of the scope of work has been done, and we have about 2/3 of the work left to be done. So we have a lot of work left to be done, but we have to celebrate what we've done and also look forward to where we're going. So with that, I'm going to ask Anthony to cue the video, and again, you're going to want to maximize that, turn up your sound, and enjoy a short video.
John, we
I
can't.
can't hear you.
We wanted to once again thank Wendy for putting that together. We thought it was a real fun way to sort of look back of what's been accomplished over the last year to 18 months. There's been a lot of work done, but as you can see, there's a lot of work yet to do to be able to do this as we go forward. So we thought it was a real fun way to be able to do that. All of the video content that's going to, and all of the presentation materials is going to be available to each one of our counties. They're going to be posted out on our public website so that our counties can use them with employees as you go forward. Our regional managers will have this and sort of work through that. So I wanted to thank Wendy for that. Before we move on from this, I also wanted to turn it over for just a couple of comments to Seth Richmond as our executive from Accenture to see if he has any thoughts he would like to share with the membership.
Thank you, John. This is Seth Richmond. Well, what I want to say is we are on time, we are on budget, and we are headed toward the goal of one CalSAWS. As John said, we're about a third of the way through. Over the next 15 months, we'll be releasing 7 more releases into the LRS CalSAWS to transform it into CalSAWS prior to this first major milestone of the C4 cutover in September of 21. A year from now, we'll be in user acceptance test, which is, again, another major milestone. And as soon as we complete the migration of the C4 counties into CalSAWS, we'll begin the preparation for the we will continue the releases in preparation for the CalWIN WCDS counties migration into the CalSAWS over the following year in 2023. So it's amazing how fast it's come. I'd also like to point out that it's over the last 3 months, this project team working with your counties has done amazing work under really difficult constraints. And it's been both an honor and a privilege to work with this amazing group. So I appreciate your people, and I appreciate that we are doing great work for the residents of the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate that. Michael, I think that concludes our presentation for agenda item 10.
Okay, great. And I'd just like to echo the sentiments. We've all been at this quite a while, and I'm quite confident that we're going to have a system that works well for all 58 counties and as for the state as a whole. So without further ado, I just wanted to find out if there were any public comment on this particular presentation. Make that at this time. Any questions or comments from the board members? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next presentation. Thanks, John.
Very good. Kathy, I see you that you're on and that you're ready to go. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Kathy Fenderling to give an update to our membership on sort of the county perspective and what's been going on. So Kathy, thank you for agreeing to be here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thanks John, and thanks Mike for the opportunity to just give a few comments from the CWDA perspective. Of course, all of the JPA board members are also CWDA board members. So I'll really try to focus the comments around some thoughts about hitting this 1-year milestone from the time we were all together last year in the Galleria in person, which seems a long time ago, more than a year since we've gone through so much. I really think that the slide or the part of the presentation that Wendy did in just the roadmap item was the rough patch. I think I thought, well, that's where we've come through. And it does seem like a long time ago that we kicked this off, but it's been a pretty great year. As you can see from the video, there's been so much work done. In particular, I really want to give a huge thanks to the CalSAWS team across all of the systems for those bridges that you saw being built in real time in the video. We, and particularly Christiana Smith from CWDA's team, as well as our policy staff in the different areas that have been affected by the COVID-19 shutdown, the executive orders, the federal flexibilities that have been granted, all of which are amazing and have really served to help our customers stay on the program, receive additional benefits, not be discontinued, as you know. These were very heavy lifts, and these were things that the CalSAWS team had to work in tireless days, nights, weekends to quickly put into place, especially when the executive orders would come out, the state would immediately go, okay, this takes effect today. So how do we get this into place to no longer send out a SAR 7 to individuals on CalWORKS and CalFresh? How do we make sure that we can stop discontinuances across CalWORKS, CalFresh, and Medi-Cal, and then support the counties to implement the flexibilities that were granted at the federal level that the state was taking advantage of. So, I mean, I just want to give a huge shout out. The bridges looked like they were simple to build on that video, but I know the hard work that went behind them. And so many thanks, John and Mike and your team at CalSAWS, as well as the counties that offered up policy and subject matter experts to make sure that those things are working. I know, you know, nothing is ever going to be perfect, and really having to scramble to get things done. It was something that I know the entire board, both your board here, CWDA board, wearing both hats, is extremely grateful for. And so I just wanted to start by saying how grateful we are for that. I think the other things that we've been seeing go on that I really wanted to provide a few minutes of an update, since it's kind of like the hot conversation in the room, is the state budget. As you know, as the shutdown happened, we also then were plunged into a pretty deep recession, very high unemployment, and the revenues that the state had been anticipating just in January disappeared to the tune of an estimated, on the part of the administration, $54 billion budget deficit over the current and upcoming budget years. So in mid-May, when the May revision was put forward by the governor, there were a significant number of cuts. And one of the reasons that I don't actually have a presentation is because we had no idea up until just a couple of days ago where that was going to land. And so when John reached out and said, where are your slides? Could I get those, please? And those of you who know me know I'm never shy with a slide deck. Christiana and I talked and said, we don't know what to put in the slides. That could change by the time we get to this meeting. And indeed, things have both changed, but also changed, I think, for the better from what we were worried about in May. So I'll hit some highlights and really try to do that with the sort of automation CalSAWS focus in my head as well. So, I mean, first off, at a high level, like I said, in the May revision proposal from the governor, there were just, as you know, a significant number of very deep cuts proposed across our program areas. In particular, in the Medi-Cal area, there were a number of program expansions that had been okayed in the last year or two that CalSAWS has been working on the automation to go ahead and get up and running in the next year. Those things are put on hold, and the CalSAWS team was told to stand down and stop automating those items. And so we didn't know whether the legislature would be able to convince the governor to find the revenues, to take a different approach, and possibly get those things restored. So at the time in mid-May, work stopped on those items. In particular, those were the big ticket items, I'd say, that were in flight in our area in the system. So it took about a month, but they have managed to come together in an agreement. And we do have a budget memo that is posted on our website. Oops, it disappears. Okay, I do not know how this thing works. I disappeared. Okay, you can't see it, but there's a budget memo. It's on our website. If you want to just go, it's linked on the home page in a couple of different places, so you'll be able to see where that budget update is. It's 12 pages. I won't go through all 12 because I don't have that much time, but I do just want to draw your attention to a couple of items and areas. So first off, just sort of generally thinking about automation and the CalSAWS migration and the policy changes that were included in the budget, and how the system, I mean, we'll be working obviously very closely with John, you and your team, as well as the state and the county subject matter experts and policy experts in our committees to figure out timeframes and the details. And there are both things that got rescued. Those cuts that I mentioned in Medi-Cal, those for the most part were restored. They are not being made. The one change to things that we were expecting to implement is there had been a discussion and broad support for a further expansion of full scope Medi-Cal benefits to the undocumented older adult population, so those over 65. And so that is now on an indefinite delay. That was the one area in Medi-Cal that did not get put back in. That was something that would affect eligibility, our workers, and thus also CalSAWS. But other changes that have already been okayed, such as expanding aged, blind, disabled eligibility, increasing that federal poverty level so that we can find those individuals eligible up to, that will go ahead and move forward. So we'll be restarting with CalSAWS, the automation work on that, as well as for that similar population, people who are on Medicare, if your Part B premium is paid, you end up sometimes in this situation, we call it flipping back and forth off of eligibility. That was another thing that was fixed in last year's budget, again, had been in flight, then got paused in May, that will now need to get put back into the schedule. I think, you know, overall, we're pleased that the funding is in the budget to continue the CalSAWS migration. That was not an issue or source of any concern. What I think we'll be working together with Christiana for us as the lead, as well as Frank and me and others on our team who are in the policy areas, we'll be figuring out changes that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes or in a minute or so about CalWorks and CalFresh and some foster care related changes. And when are those going to get kind of put in? And to the extent that they're shorter term things, it may be the case that it makes sense to not automate and just sort of do these things for 6, 12 months, knowing that in some of, you know, the systems that are just going away, CalWin, C4, getting, you know, on that migration path, at a certain point, you get to a point where it doesn't make a lot of sense to automate it if it's just going to go away. So those will be all detailed things that I know will be talked about in the different quarterly meetings and with your staff to the project and the regions and on those teams. And so I don't think get into huge detail on it. But just to say that, you know, where these Medi-Cal policy changes fit is obviously going to, you know, depend on when we actually process those renewals that have been held in abeyance and the discontinuance of start up again. As John has very carefully made sure that Christiana and I understand and communicate to the administration and legislative staff, the changes such as the aged, blind, disabled thing that I was just talking about really need to have the whole system running and renewals running and the eligibility running regularly and not having things just get held and not processed, or it can't go in. And so some of the timelines are very dependent on how long the discontinuances are going to continue. So, you know, kind of stay tuned on those pieces. And then as well, there's a number of CalFresh and CalWorks policy changes that I want to just give a couple of highlights and then encourage folks, if you haven't had a chance to read that update with your CalSAWS hat on, please go ahead and do so. So the few things that I wanted to, you know, particularly call out to think about needing automation and potentially significant automation are time clock changes in CalWorks. That's amazing to get the time clocks back up to 60, eliminate 24. That's a target date for that is in May of 2022. And we do need instructions from the state by October 31st of this year to be able to make that. We were lucky to get a number of simplifications to both initial eligibility intake, as well as ongoing redetermination work in CalFresh. This is CWDA sponsored bill AB 2413, Assemblymember Ting's bill. Most of that bill is now incorporated into the trailer bill that is going to enact changes in the budget as well as the funding for those changes. So this is going to be great, especially as I've been thinking about it. You know, you and your staff have had hundreds of thousands of applications come in for CalFresh in a, you know, period of just weeks. That huge spike that we saw, it's dropped off and kind of leveled off now, but that was, you know, just unprecedented number of applications coming in such a short space of time. What we're hoping is that these changes can really help those folks retain that. They have various implementation dates. A lot of them do require automation, so we will be working again with CalSAWS, with the administration to put all those in place. And there are some requirements as well, similar to that time clock requirement for the instructions to get out. So there's also a few things in foster care have been changed that could require some automation as well. In particular, a lot of the focus in the foster care area was on the non-minor dependents, the AB 12 participants in extended foster care. They are, you know, turning 21 every day and then dropping off the program. And so the executive order that was issued a month and a half, 2 months ago by the governor allowed those non-minor dependents who turned 21 during this emergency to stay on the program. And so there are some additional changes that are put into place for a longer period of time like that now as part of the budget as well. So there's funding for that, as well as some automation changes to think through and put into place to try to figure out the best way to do that. I think the bottom line, since I think I'm probably approaching my time limit of 10 minutes, and I could, as I mentioned, I think it's a 12-page memo, I could talk for an hour on the budget, is to just say, I really think it's, in the end, a very thoughtful budget. It's one that definitely has implications for CalSAWS and for our eligibility workers and how they interact with the system and with our customers, but in a positive way, trying to preserve these safety net programs, trying to minimize cuts or make sure that we're not having to dig so deeply that we're unable to serve people. No, it's not perfect. There are still some cuts across different areas, especially in the realignment funding. We got a $1 billion backfill, which, as you know, we've been very, like, at the forefront, CWDA, very vocal about that. There's some strings that the governor is considering attaching or talking about attaching to some of that funding, and how it actually gets allocated out is unclear, but we won on that. We got that backfill. We were able to explain the importance of not decimating our child welfare and adult protection programs. So a lot of work to be done, I guess I would say, John and Mike, before I turn it back over to you, to effectuate these changes and to especially get those things in Medi-Cal that have now fallen off their original timeline because you had to stop working on them, to get those back into the schedule. So we'll all be working to try to balance, you know, the health side, the human services side, and just get things plugged in as we can. Obviously, knowing at some point we are bumping up against certain milestones on this highway behind me where we're not going to be able to make changes to the system for some period of time, and just trying to figure out how to best prioritize what we can do during those times. So for that, I really appreciate the opportunity. Again, a million thanks to you and your team. The board, you guys have to be very proud of what CalSAWS has pulled off in these last few months alone. They are rock stars. So thank you, and I'm happy to turn it over to you and see if there's time. I don't know, for questions or whatever, but happy to answer them if there is.
Thank you, Kathy. I think your presentation was extremely informative, and it shows how much is really going on right now. What a great partner CWDA is, and how important the advocacy that CWDA pursues on behalf of the counties is. We'll go ahead and open it up for any questions or comments from the other board members. Okay, hearing none. Any public comments? Great. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for being a part of this. John?
I have a public comment.
What was that? I didn't see it.
This is David from the Western Center seeking to make public comment.
Okay, recognizing David. Go ahead, you're now up.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that presentation, Kathy, and for the little tidbit from John about possible delays to the implementation of the Age, Blind, and Disabled Medi-Cal expansion. I want to echo Kathy's sentiments that so many wonderful things have been done in SAWS during this time of crisis and over the past several years. But I do want to flag the critical importance of this expansion moving forward on schedule as much as possible, effective August 1st, for several reasons, not the least of which is we're during a pandemic and thousands of Californians need this full scope Medi-Cal as soon as possible now more than ever before. This is a program that was finalized in the 2019 budget approved by CMS in December of 2019 with a set implementation date of August 1st of this year. We look forward to working with you on a solution to get that implemented timely. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate the comment. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Okay, I'm not hearing any verbal. I'm checking chat. I don't have any there. So we'll go ahead and move up with the next item. Thanks again, Kathy. Really appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, do we have a
Kathy. Thank you,
DD&I
Michael.
presentation?
Yes, we are going to move it on over to our section directors, and we're going to start with June Hutchison, our Director for Customer Engagement for CalSAWS, to bring you on our scenic road and some of the things that are up and coming in addition to the legislation that you've talked about in the policy items. So June, I am turning it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the scenic route. We're going to go on the scenic route today on our road to CalSAWS to give you a little bit of an update of some of the work that's being completed as it relates to the design, development, and implementation, looking at schedule and milestones, the development approach, and how we're interacting with the counties throughout this process. The stops that we're going to take on this scenic route are task management, imaging, non-state forms, FSED, foster care eligibility determination phase 1, reports and analytics, and Amazon Connect contact center. So I'm your tour guide for Exit 1, task management. So as we look at task management, we know that this drives how the work is completed by the counties in the system. So if we move on to the next slide, you'll see that what is going into the CalSAWS Unified Task Management System is information and functionality that exists all over the state of California today in the different systems. So in LRS, there's enhanced routing, there's work list management, and there's pending authorizations that are coming from LRS into the CalSAWS Unified Solution. In C4, there's the task configurability, which allows the flexibility for multi-county in one system. And then also task banks in order for counties to load tasks into banks that can be accessed by multiple workers. And then from CalWin, all of those additional usability features that exist in the 18 CalWin counties today, all of this will shape and form the CalSAWS Unified Solution as in CalSAWS in the future. So let's take a look at where we are today. The design started in April. As you saw, we had certainly some things that happened in April, some kind of construction on the road that caused us to slow down a bit, but we're still pretty much on track. The kickoff meeting for the Task Management Committee is actually this afternoon, and that will start the whole process with the committee of going through and planning the task management functionality. After this, they plan to meet with the committee bi-monthly, and then they'll have more frequent meetings as we get closer and closer to implementation. Currently, the first release in 2009, which is this year in September, will be focused on the technical and back-end changes, and then the other releases will move forward into the system in this phased approach through the release 2103. And next on your road to CalSAWS, Exit 2 is imaging, and I'll turn it over to Laura Chavez for this section. Laura?
Thank you, June. My name is Laura Chavez. I am the CalSAWS Technical Director, and our next stop, as June mentioned, is imaging. As a reminder, we are moving to a Highland software as a service offering hosted within the AWS cloud. This is going to be tightly integrated with the core CalSAWS application, taking advantage of all of the task management features that June just described earlier. Your CalSAWS Imaging Committee has been very instrumental in the design process, and we appreciate all of their time that they've spent on this key project. And we are scheduled and are on track to complete all 3 of our design phases by October. We are happy to report that we've already begun our conversion activities with both LA County images as well as C4 County images. And we are currently in process in our planning of performance testing and what that's going to look like for us as we ensure that this imaging solution scales out to be able to support all 58 counties into the future. Next slide, please. Here I'd like to provide to you a high-level timeline of the CalSAWS solution implementation schedule. Do we have the slide deck up, or is it just? Okay, it's all Jen. And so I'd like to draw your attention to the far left bar, where we've got our 3 design phases currently scheduled for 2020. And then we've got, in the middle of that blue bar, we've got our activities identified for build and test. And then, of course, we have our CFAR Go Live scheduled for September 2024. And then we've also got an estimated deployment date for Los Angeles to be November 22nd, also in 2021. And then if we continue to look far right on that blue bar, we've got our multiple ways for the CalWIN counties identified there. And as a reminder, the CalSAWS imaging solution is planned to be deployed for both the CFAR counties and the CalWIN counties at the time that your county goes live with the core CalSAWS application. Now I'd like to focus your attention below in that blue box identified with training activities. And I want to highlight these specifically for the C4 and LA counties. We will definitely be working to share some additional information on training dates as we move into the future for the CalWIN counties. That's still information and details that we are continuing to work out. So more information to come related to CalWIN counties, CalSAWS training specifically around imaging. So I'd like to move now to the next slide, which is a deeper dive on that blue box of training activities, again, specifically around C4 and LA counties. And I'd like to focus your attention on that second main bullet for county training activities. And here I wanted to highlight upcoming things that you might want to just call out here for yourself and for your staff. We've got C4 Train the Trainer activities scheduled for next year beginning in July. And then shortly after that, we've got scheduled C4 General Staff Training scheduled for end of August. And then subsequently, we've got also Los Angeles Train the Trainer training scheduled, again, tentatively for August 23rd. And then we are still working on what those training dates look like for Los Angeles General Staff Training. And I also wanted to highlight that in relation to imaging, that we do plan to engage in change management activities, but those activities will align with the overall CalSAWS change management and readiness timelines. So definitely more information to come related to imaging and change management. And then just a spoiler alert, we've got a great video demo later on in our presentation that Highland prepared so that you can get a sneak peek into the imaging solution. So I definitely think that that's worthwhile for you to take a look at. Now I'd like to go ahead and move us along our scenic route to exit 3 for non-state forums and introduce Ms. Karen Raffinati.
Thanks, Laura. This is Karen Raffinati, the Policy Design Director for CalSAWS, and I will give you an update on non-state forums. So as you recall, last summer, we had a huge effort to review a lot of forms that were county-specific forms and come out with 114 new requirements. And since then, we've been working on what those forms will look like. And then starting in May, and starting last month, we began sending these forms to the state stakeholders for review. So not only do we send them to the state with a goal of looking to see if we can make them state forms, we also, due to the public-facing technology, are also sharing them through the state with the advocates and getting feedback from both entities as we create these new statewide forms. What we've gotten back, it's currently a work in progress, and what we've gotten back is that there are some forms that are becoming state forms. There are a few that are obsolete, and then we have some forms that are not being created as state forms. We have some that will stay as a 58 county non-state form, but then we also have ones that if a county chooses to use their own form because they like their own format and all of that. Those would remain with the county. However, they can be updated through imaging to be able to stay with the case. So, and this is how it functions today for C4 counties. As we move ahead, adding in the additional review, because last summer we had not anticipated that we would have the state and advocate review, but we made the change to add a kind of phase 0 review in there. And you'll note that between the original plan and the revised plan, we still are staying on track with the forms going in the same releases as anticipated. And then in my last slide, I will share with you that this is a kind of a point in time of where we are with our reviews. So we have a number that are becoming state forms. We have some that are starting to go into the system, starting with the September release. And we have a couple that are on hold. We have other ones that are in progress. So we have a variety of statuses that as we work through the whole entire process, it ends up, I think if all the numbers add up, we end up at 103 forms altogether that, that we're working through. And we will keep moving forward and finalize all of our reviews. Correspondence has been a huge effort as we move forward. You know, things change so much on forms, and so we have a pretty big team working on this effort, trying to keep everything on track and moving forward. And now I will switch to our next exit, which is our FSED Part 1 with Tom Hartman.
Thanks, Karen. This is Tom. I don't know how to turn on my video. Oh, yeah, I do. The thing that I'd like to walk through is the FSED decision has been there for a while that the eligibility determination will remain in CalSAWS. And we went through the process, next slide please, of identifying the FSED governance participants. And we have 4 county executives that were selected to be on that FSED governance committee, Karen, Deborah, Cynthia, and Deborah. They met for one time. Next slide, please. And they're there in the second circle, the executives that are fit under kind of the bridge between CARES and CalSAWS. And they looked at the options that had been discussed for how we do the FSED implementation and agreed on a solution. Can we move forward? The solution is keeping the functionality that currently exists for Los Angeles County in place with no changes during the phase 1. The 57 counties would then get a new CWS CMS interface from the legacy system that's based on the LA County interface. This would be sent directly from CWS CMS to CalSAWS. There would not be any intermediate manipulation of the data. We would also update a subset of the CalSAWS foster care eligibility rules that needed updating, and update data collection pages to add additional data elements that are currently not in CalSAWS. And for the forms, NOAAs, and reports, we would use the CalSAWS standard foster care reports forms and NOAAs that already exist. Next. Current status is in February. We got approval from that FSED governance group to move forward with the proposed solution. The Accenture contract was modified and approved by the JPA on March 27th. And the SCRs to actually implement phase 1A effort have been created and should be implemented by March of 2021. And the foster care eligibility determination kickoff meeting was conducted with the Foster Care Committee on June 2nd, 2020. Next. So here in a nutshell are the 3 pieces of the FSED implementation. The first is the release in March of 2021, which I mentioned earlier. The second, which we're working with CARES on, is a one-way inbound interface with CWS CMS. There are two pieces to that: the CalSAWS work and the CARES work that IBM, or the CWS CMS work that IBM will be performing to create that outbound interface. And then phase two would be the full integration between CWS CMS and CARES and CalSAWS. And the dependencies are when the CARES schedule comes out, we'll have to make sure that we're all integrated. Next, we'll hand over to the next exit, which is data analytics, and Laura Chavez.
Thank you, Tom. So our next exit regarding data analytics and reports. So I want to provide a highlight and some updates on what we're doing in regards to reports. We are in the process of re-platforming the CalSAWS reporting solution into a modern data lake architecture in the AWS cloud. So this will enable us to be able to scale our reporting solution for all 58 counties. It'll provide us with enhanced analytic capabilities, and it will also provide an enhanced user experience, a more modern user front-end experience. And our objective with our modernization of our report solution is to provide a solution that empowers your users to be creative in how they are analyzing data, while still providing access to critical day-to-day information in regular operational reports, as well as our monthly state reports. I wanted to highlight that the counties will have access to this solution and all the reports within that at the time that they go live with the core CalSAWS application. Counties will, however, have an opportunity to see their data in these reports during their county UAT phase. So I wanted to call that out. Let's go ahead and move into the next slide. And here is a timeline of our 8 releases of our re-platforming effort into this new modern reporting infrastructure. And as you can see, it's in an iterative fashion as we wrap up, as we move closer to the C4 go live date. And as you can see in that timeline far to the right, we also have an opportunity during the CalWIN UAT for those CalWIN counties to be able to test these reports using their county data and be able to see that within the new modern infrastructure as before they go live as well. Next slide. Here I wanted to provide you some updates on some of the communication that we've already had with your report staff within each of your counties. As you can see, we've started with monthly updates through webinars beginning in January to provide your report staff with an overview of the replatforming project. We've talked about detailed technical topics like data sets. What does that mean to staff who are going to be utilizing that in the future for ad hoc reporting? We've also talked about dashboards, what those look like, and what are the types of data that are going to be available in these dashboards to counties, and provided them with that full inventory as well as screenshots of what those reports look like and what they could expect. And our last webinar down there at the bottom for June, we actually just moved that out to August to allow your staff to have some more time to digest all of that information that we provided last month, so that we can get back together and be able to answer any questions, concerns that they might have on all of that content. Next slide. And then here's some upcoming webinars that we currently have scheduled, and these are specific to the state and the fiscal reports. And so again, we will be walking through those, providing highlights. And then lastly, in September, we'll be wrapping up our webinars, going through all of the feedback that we've received, identifying any key concerns, overlaps, gaps that we may need to address as we move forward. So I wanted to highlight all of the communication that's been going on with your staff, and we appreciate your staff's time in participating in these walkthroughs. It's a lot of information, and there's a lot of interest, as you can imagine, with data analytics and reports. Next, I'd like to take you to our final stop on our scenic route, which is Amazon Connect Contact Center Solution. And I wanted to highlight here, again, a reminder, Amazon Connect is a contact center solution in the cloud. and it is a platform as a service. And this allows for us to have high scalability within the cloud and also quite a bit of ongoing cost efficiencies there. Something I'd also like to note is for those counties who may not currently have a full-blown contact center, this might be an opportunity for you to think about taking advantage of a contact center, since the initial upfront costs associated with it, now that we are in the cloud, are significantly reduced. So if this was a barrier in the past for you, this might be a new consideration for you in the future. Another highlight I wanted to share was we completed in April of this year, migrating all of the C4 counties who currently have a contact center into the Amazon Connect contact center solution in the cloud. And that was completed in April and went very smoothly. And we appreciate all of your county staff support in making that happen together with us. So we appreciate that. And I also wanted to acknowledge, since we've deployed that and migrated those counties in April, we have had 2 recent incidents that caused an outage. And so I just wanted to address those and what we're doing to mitigate that. From a CalSAWS perspective, we are consolidating all of our technical monitoring of the contact center solution. We're moving that into our core production operations so that we have more eyes on this critical business function for you. We know that this is critical to your day-to-day business, and we've got more eyes monitoring this going forward. And then I also wanted to call out Amazon is also putting some additional monitoring and controls in place, as one of the incidents was related to an outage that they had in our region, which impacted not only CalSAWS, but many of their other customers. And I'd like to open it up and invite Mark Spitzer to maybe say a few words on this topic.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me see. All right. So I do want to say that we're very excited to support the migration to Connect. We're also enthusiastic about the promise that some of these future enhancements to Connect that the consortium is going to learn about in a minute can potentially benefit the consortium and its constituents. The service is, like everything or most things that Amazon is doing, is constantly evolving. But to Laura's point, we did have a problem with Connect at an event in the Oregon region on June 3rd. It did affect some customers for a few hours, and I want to apologize for that and acknowledge that. During that time, customers experienced some intermittent issues accessing Amazon Connect. And on that day, we were able to determine the root cause and resolve the issue. And then for anyone who would like to kind of click down into it, root cause analysis has been provided to the consortium's executive management team, and it's accessible to folks upon request. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate your guys' partnership over there at Amazon. So thank you for that note. I'd like to now move on to our contact center functional design sessions, which we've recently held early June. And we had 100 of your county experts that participated in those sessions. And we appreciate, again, their time that they spent with us as we did a deep dive into further defining the scope and the detailed requirements for taking the Amazon Connect customer service solution and blowing that out to be able to support all 58 counties. And part of those discussions, I also wanted to highlight that we had a lot of in-depth discussions around multi-tenant support model. So what that is, how do we break up configuration and administrative rights between your staff locally within the county and also at the project level, and then what could be some administration duties that we could share in a joint model. We've got some counties who desire to have a lot of control and manage that themselves, and then we have other counties who prefer to have the project do that. So we had a lot of discussion on that topic and a lot of good information documented so that we can make sure that all of those requirements are built into the solution, again, as we build this out to be able to support all 58 counties. Another highlight we wanted to share was we do have an advocate session that's currently scheduled for July 20th for us to be able to obtain feedback from our advocate partners on our contact center solution. And then lastly, we wanted to highlight that we do plan to send our requirements over to be reviewed and approved by your IVR and contact center committee members by the end of July. Next slide. And here we wanted to share a high-level timeline of our CalSAWS solution rollout. And as you can see, we've got highlighted our design kickoff as well as our sessions that we currently have scheduled with our advocate partners, both an initial session as well as an update follow-up scheduled for October. We plan on being able to wrap up our requirements by middle of July and then begin to create that detailed design solution as well as a cost estimate. And our plan is to bring the solution along with the cost estimate back to our PSC and JPA board members beginning of October. And our plan is also to then be able to submit this solution along with the cost estimate over to our state and federal partners in October. We would then be hopeful to look for an approval from our state and federal partners early next year, and we would be looking to hopefully begin work on our expanded CalSAWS contact center solution within AWS Cloud for all 58 counties in February of 2021. And then again, another spoiler alert, AWS has provided a great video for you as well later on in our session that highlights a lot of the new features that AWS has recently deployed related to their Connect contact center solution functionality. And so now I would like to introduce Mr. Tom Hartman to talk about our next stop on our scenic route, which is CalSAWS procurement.
Thanks, Laura. The first slide we can pass by and move to the three procurements that we have, or procurement activities that we have outstanding. We have the Portal Mobile, we have the OCM for CalWin, and print.
Tom, this is just a second before we move on to procurement, since that's a different agenda item.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to Michael. And Michael, that does conclude the presentations for agenda item 12, and it's probably time that we have some, see if there's any questions or comments on the items from agenda item 12.
Yeah, I just noticed that too, John. Thank you for catching that. We do need to pause here, and I have a couple questions, and then I want to open it up for others. On the CWS CMS interface that was referenced earlier, I know that you mentioned that we'll be moving to a direct interface from CWS CMS, and I know in LA County that it interfaces through a warehouse, so there's certain elements around payments and things that are part of that. So once it has a direct interface with the state, how's the payment logic that you're getting from the county level? Is that going to be incorporated into LRS to fill in those gaps? Or?
I can start on that, Michael, and then see if Tom wants to add in. We are not changing the feed that LA County is getting from CWS CMS. You'll still get that. It'll still go into the LA County data warehouse, and all of those payment structures will stay in place. What we're doing is sometime after the implementation of the C4 counties and the eligibility logic changes that Tom described in phase 1A, we are looking to be able to get a similar feed from CWS CMS into CalSAWS to the benefit of the other 57 counties, but we are not going to change how LA County uses the data from CWS CMS. It'll still go into your data warehouse and still trigger those items, but make that data available for the other 57 counties, so there could be a more timely information on things like placement and other things that may drive eligibility. So Tom, was there anything that I missed on that or that you might want to add on to that?
No, that covers it. And when we get into phase 2, we'll have to address the issues of how the payments work and how the functionality that is currently in the LA interface is then transitioned and enhanced. But that's further down the line.
Okay, great. I appreciate that clarification. On the data analytics and reporting solution, I know there's a lot of work we're doing right now in terms of report validation, and I just wanted to find out if that's going to be lost in any way when we move to the new solution.
Michael, this is Laura Chavez. That's a great question. So as you can see in our timeline, we are replatforming those existing reports within LRS into the new cloud infrastructure, and we're doing it in an iterative fashion and releasing that into production for Los Angeles. So LA County staff are key and critical in the validation process for each of those releases. So it's not rework. They're actually going to be utilizing those new replatformed reports beginning this year and continuing through 2021 until we complete that replatforming effort.
Okay, so we can continue our validation efforts and we're not going to lose any of that.
Exactly. So what they're validating is a combination of enhancements to existing reports, but also they're validating the replatforming effort as well.
Okay, great. And then the last question I had is probably one that I might need the Amazon rep to come back to, and that's the outage. Just not necessarily to get into details of the root cause analysis, but just a little bit better explanation of how we had how we were impacted by an area outage, because this is one of the things that when we went to the cloud, we expect to have better fault tolerance on.
Hey, this is Mark, and I finally actually figured out how to slide my video slider off so it's not blocking on my screen. Morning, Mike. So, a little bit more detailed on that is one of the service teams sent a request to another team, and there wasn't really a validation, a check on errors, like 403 errors on not being able to get it. So it took a little while for that, for the folks to get to the bottom of that. So what they did in response to that is on both sides, because there were two different service teams involved, they both implemented controls and alert notifications that I guess previously did not exist. And I'm glad to actually, I will email you the specific details on that so you can read through those.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think this is an important thing as we move to the cloud. We've got to really get our arms around any gaps. So thanks, I appreciate that. So I want to open this up to anybody else who has comments. Any of the board members have comments or questions for the team on this DD&I presentation? Okay, hearing none. Any public comment on this particular presentation? Okay, I'm not hearing any, and I'm not seeing any on our chat window.
This is David Kane from Western Center. I raised my hand.
Okay, David, go ahead. You have the mic.
Thank you. David Kane from the Western Center on Law and Poverty. Thank you for the outline of the stop of the non-state forms. Advocates across the state who represent consumers are happy to meet you at that rest stop. And we're looking forward to improvements to the non-state forms. I just wanted to note that it looks like the implementation planning of these crucial non-state forms that help people maintain and access their life-sustaining benefits have a two-tiered implementation phase where people who speak languages other than English and Spanish fall into a second tier and have to wait longer for the translations. I'm wondering if that's a technical limitation in the system that requires that, or if it's a delay in actual translated language from our state agencies, or both. We're interested in working with you for a simultaneous and timely rollout in all threshold languages. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input. We'll go ahead and take that back and make sure we address it. Any other public comments?
So yeah, this is Kevin Aslanian, and I'm also concerned about the language problem because we deal with a lot of, there's the VU case that says all the forms have to be in the same language, I mean, in the required languages. And we also have a lot of Hispanics and Russians and Armenians, especially Armenians that you have in LA. And we need to make sure that any form is available to their language, and we shouldn't be discriminating against immigrants.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Sounds like a
how would
similar.
you get back to us on this? Do we just say this and then goes away, or what?
This is a public comment, so we're going to take this back and we'll address it to future updates. Thank you. So any other comments publicly? Okay, all right, we're going to go ahead and move up to the next item. I believe that's our procurement updates. John? Or is it Tom going to step up on this?
Thanks, Mike. Okay, let's move to the next slide.
Thank you.
We've got 3 procurements under construction. The Portal Mobile and CalWin OCM and then Central Print. Moving on to the Portal Mobile, where we are is we've completed negotiations. We had a reduction in price, but not a reduction in scope. The advocates had some fairly late requirements that we walked through with them, and we're adding as no-cost amendment after the base contract is signed. It's in federal and state review as we speak. And if you look at the time frames, we may need to have a board meeting in that first week in August to approve it, depending on how quickly the federal government gets back to us with their approval. And I'd like to take this opportunity to have the Deloitte team give us a couple of words on their team and their approach. Rachel?
Thanks, Tom. I'm Rachel Frye. I am Deloitte's project executive for the Portal mobile app project. First of all, I just wanted to say we're very excited to have an on-ramp to join or rejoin rather the CalSAWS journey. A number of the folks on our team were on early roads that were probably roads not paved very early on, more than 20 years ago, and some actually more recently within the last couple of years. We're excited to work with the broad stakeholder environment that will be engaged for this particular effort to help people get access to services that they really need. As Tom mentioned, we're looking at probably August as a start time frame for the project. We have a couple of initial stops planned for our releases, the first of which is going to align with the C4 migration, and then 2 additional stops that will take place after the migration that are going to be releasing additional functionality. But I wanted to give you all just a quick overview of the team that you're going to get to know over the course of the next couple of years. Shayla Bajik is going to be serving as our stakeholder advisor. Gabrielle Otis, who actually goes by Gab, is going to be serving as our project manager. Logan Uretsky is going to serve as our user-centered design lead, and we have a very specific individual for that given the focus from the consortium and the stakeholders around user-centered design. Kim King is going to be serving as our test lead. She actually comes as a former eligibility worker in one of the California counties. Jerry Nielsen is going to be coming in as our application development lead, and Jared Miniman as our user interface lead. So the team is very excited to get going. We've actually been planning for this for the better part of the last 9 months. So we are excited to get to know you all starting in August.
Thanks, Rachel. Moving on to CalWin training, OCM, and implementation support. We received 4 proposals. We are in the process of having the evaluators complete evaluation of the 4th proposal. They're evaluated in the sequence in which they are received. We're on schedule and moving along, and all of our proposals are being evaluated, and we have some pretty good ones. So that's where we are. The next is Central Print. We are in federal and state review of the RFP. We have requested from the federal government a pre-approval of the RFP so that we can release it and address any comments they have in later addendums or amendments. And we're hoping for that. If that comes through, we will be able to release the RFP earlier and be able to give the vendors a little time to organize themselves and get ready to propose on this. Currently, everything is on schedule with a start date for the central print vendor of March 11 of 2021. And we might be able to move that if we get the federal pre-approval of the RFP. Are there any questions about procurement?
Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. I'm not seeing any here. Did I hear anything from the board members? Any questions for Tom from the board members? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to the next presentation item then.
Good morning and welcome to CalSAWS Points of Interest, where we're going to pull over at some Vista points and take a longer look at a few topics. And June Hutchison and I will be your guides for this stretch of the journey. We're going to start with a more in-depth look at the Amazon Connect implementation from the county perspective and look to future potential capabilities we could build upon the Amazon Connect platform. We're going to start with then Cambria will provide an overview of several features in the upcoming OCAT release. And we will take a look then at several actual imaging capabilities that will be included in the 58 county imaging solution. There is one reference to a potential future capability, but it's quite clearly marked in the video. And then I will do a quick update on automated assistance. Before we start, I did want to mention there are various videos for the demos where we're showing very realistic examples, but I wanted to make it clear that all of the data that you're going to see is test data. There is no real data in any of the videos. Next slide, please. As you know from Laura's update earlier, we have recently implemented Amazon Connect to do a like-for-like replacement of the on-premise contact center and IVR solution used for the 39 counties. But we wanted to go a little more in depth from the county perspective on the implementation. We have some quotes from the field about the implementation and a testimonial video from 2 customer service workers that were created about using Amazon Connect. And then finally, we'll do a demonstration of some potential features. None of these features are in the current solution, but we want to provide some information on potential capabilities that could provide benefits to the county's business processes. But before we do that demo, June will guide you through the quotes and testimonials.
Good morning. Again, this is June. So as we're on our road to CalSAWS, we wanted to tune our radio to what the counties are saying about their Amazon Connect experience. So let's listen to what they had to say. So Kathy Harwell from Stanislaus County, among other things, said it was great and they've never had such low wait times with Amazon Connect. And Maria from Merced County, she really likes the routing profiles and can manage how and when calls are routed. She also likes the metrics, real-time and historical, that she can get with Amazon Connect. Next, we're hearing from Kimberly from San Joaquin County. Kimberly shares that they had a few bumps in the road and you know, a few potholes here and there, but overall it's going well, and they are enjoying using Amazon Connect. And then our last quote is from Valerie and Kern. Valerie really likes the remote connection and that it allowed them to do their social distancing during the pandemic. They also like having the customer surveys, and that the functions within the system are very familiar to them. So as Scott mentioned, we have a couple of testimonial videos that I hope you'll enjoy, and that makes me smile every time I talk about it, because they, you know, this is real life. These are real people in Humboldt County that are using Amazon Connect, and you could just see their enthusiasm. So let's take a look at the videos.
Hi, my name is Andrew Mackey. I'm an eligibility supervisor at the Department of Health and Human Services with Humboldt County's California's call center. And what we do here is we take calls for our clients who need some assistance in our community. Obviously, with the recent pandemic, we've had a lot that's been thrown into chaos. However, with the great system that was afforded to us by Amazon Connect, what we were able to do with the pandemic was those individuals who were vulnerable and immune compromised that work here in our office, they were able to be safe working off site. And that also allowed us the flexibility here at our call center, whereas before we were tied to our desks and tied to this building, we were able to spread out to other locations, allowing staff here at our call center to be responsibly socially distant from one another. And then further, we were able to still maintain our presence in the county and with the community by accepting the calls during this crisis. So we were able to assist people throughout the pandemic. It was able to keep our clients safe, our community safe, and our coworkers and ourselves safe. All thanks to Amazon Connect.
Another day here at the office. The only thing I'm looking forward to more than my first cup of coffee is logging into my Amazon Connect CCP. Ever since we've switched over from that other phone software, my days here at the office have been so much smoother. First and foremost, we've been given the option of offering our callers a courtesy callback. Ever since we've introduced this feature, I've had a 95% reduction in the amount of callers complaining about hold times like that's something that I have any control over. I love it when my customers don't complain. In addition, we've also been given a mute button. Previously, when we needed to stall for time, I only had the option of putting the caller on hold. Now I can either mute the caller or put them on hold and be reminded every 10 seconds that I have a caller on hold. Newsflash, I know they're on hold. I made it that way using Amazon Connect's user-friendly interface. These features are things I've come to appreciate over the last number of months, and I still remember the day we went live on Amazon Connect. The first thing I noticed was a marked improvement in the audio quality coming through my headset. Thanks to this improvement in sound quality, myself and my callers are able to spend less time repeating ourselves and more time resolving issues. That is great for my agent statistics. Lastly, actions like transferring and conferencing have become second nature thanks to the user-friendly interface of Amazon Connect. So with my headset on my head and Amazon Connect on my computer, there's no eligibility I can't determine. Except for cache programs. I have to transfer you for that.
And thank you for those videos from Humboldt County. And we always love enjoying hearing from our county friends out there in the offices. Thanks. I'll turn it back over to Scott.
Thanks, June. I've seen that video 10 times now with various walkthroughs and project airings of it, and I still laugh at the end of it every time. So the following video, we're going to show you some examples of some potential features that could be built on the Amazon Connect existing capability. But once again, these are all future capabilities. So the video is going to take you through first a brief introduction for some context. Then it's going to show you an example of natural language processing where it shows how the system could potentially interact with the participants in a more natural way. And then it's going to go over sentiment analysis, where the system could help analyze and track the emotional state of the caller as they're talking with the agent for training purposes. And then finally, we're going to show an example of how the chat access channel could be expanded from our current capability. And then after the video, there'll be a brief opportunity for Q&A with AWS about the capabilities shown in the video. Please play the video.
As you will see in the next set of demos we have created for you today, Amazon Connect simplifies contact center operations by giving us the tools necessary to focus on what's important. Improve agent efficiency by giving our agents the tools to better handle callers' requests, and improve customer experience by not having them jump through the hoops and get what they need. Amazon Lex gives you access to the same speech recognition and natural language technology that powers Amazon Alexa. This is a typical scenario where customers use Contact Center for everyday tasks, such as confirming, changing, or canceling an appointment, checking for available benefits, requesting remaining EBT balance, or replacing their EBT card, and much more. You can build more automated contact center flows to free up agents, giving them more time to focus on more complex tasks and to better serve clients. As you will see, Amazon Lex is smart enough to understand the customer's intent and what kind of information is needed for each task and gather it during the conversation. Please enjoy this demonstration where the customer would like to change an appointment.
Hello, Megan. I see you have a 4:30 appointment this afternoon. Are you calling about this? Or is there something else I can help you with?
Yes, I am calling about my appointment. I had something come up today, and I will not be able to make it.
I'm sorry to hear you will not be able to make your appointment today. I can certainly assist you in rescheduling, if you would like to do that at this time.
Yes, please.
Great. I will need to authenticate you first. I see that you're enrolled in voice authentication. Can you please repeat the phrase, "My voice is my password"? Please verify me.
My voice is my password. Please verify me.
Thank you, Megan. You have been verified. Now, let's see about rescheduling your appointment. Is there a specific date you had in mind? Or would you like me to give you some options?
Can we reschedule the appointment for next Tuesday at 4?
Yes, next Tuesday, June 30th, 2020 at 4 p.m. is available. Please confirm this is the date you would like me to reschedule it to.
Yes, that would be great.
Your appointment has been successfully rescheduled. Now, is there anything else I may help you with today?
I think that is all. Thank you.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Here's how it works. Megan's phone number is recognized in the system, and we are able to present a customized greeting to her. We use Lex to talk with Megan and not talk at Megan. This system uses machine learning algorithms to predict the reasons for the call and presents that to the caller. The caller confirms that this is the reason for the call and asks to self-serve. Lex then proceeds with authenticating the user with voice authentication. Voice authentication uses the caller's voice print already enrolled in the system to verify Megan's identity. It does so through the caller's unique voice patterns. Amazon Lex then walks the caller through the rescheduling process. This is done using a natural conversational approach instead of a clunky IVR tree method. It reschedules the appointment for the following week at Megan's specified time. Although Megan's experience was a happy one, we are all aware that not all calls are going to go that smooth. So it's critical to have additional information about your contact center performance. Today, most contact center analytics are based on phone switch activity or customer relationship management (CRM) call notes that are typed in by the contact center agent. What's typically missing from these analytics is an insight into the actual conversations between agents and customers. Contact center supervisors are hungry for insight into things like whether agents are having productive conversations, whether any interesting trends in customer sentiment are occurring, or whether the agents are complying with regulatory requirements. Because of these limitations, it can be challenging to get a complete picture of the satisfaction of customers and how they interact with your business. Post-call surveys have low response rates and generally capture only very positive and very negative customer feedback. Here's an example of new search features. What you're seeing are ways to better search call and chat transcript data using keywords and phrases. You can filter by customer versus agent. Previously, we had to listen in on calls to gain some of these insights. Contact Lens gives you better insight into customer interactions. You'll even be able to look at specific characteristics of your interactions. For example, how long has the customer been kept on hold? How fast was the customer or the agent talking? And even look at how many times the customer or agent interrupted each other. You'll be able to not only search based on sentiment, but also start sentiment and end sentiment. So you can identify contacts where the customer sentiment at the end of the call was worse than the start, and then deep dive to understand why. Contact Lens brings enhancements to the contact trace record. Contact trace records are the primary source of data collected for every call. What we see here is standard contact trace record as they appear in the product today. With Contact Lens enabled, you can review the entire call and chat transcript and even see customer and agent sentiment for every speaker turn. You can define and manage custom categories to organize and sort contacts. Specified criteria can be keywords, phrases, and conversational characteristics like silence duration and interruption frequency. Once you define custom categories for areas of particular interest, like the mention of a particular service or specific scripts that agents are expected to say every time you talk to a customer, you will also be able to see those here and filter results based on these categories. New graphs are also available to see changes in sentiment throughout an interaction. For example, was a customer upset but turned around by the agent during the interaction? What percentage of the contact was silent? These insights empower our agents and supervisors to continue to improve their skills to better serve our clients. Contact search is another effective tool for doing a deep dive, while the categorization feature helps automatically monitor conversations to spot issues that customers already know. However, organizations also want to automatically discover previously unknown issues based on what's going on in their contact centers. Contact Lens offers a new theme detection feature that applies machine learning to analyze multiple customer conversations, predefined configured period, and automatically presents a set of themes along with their magnitude that indicate the top reasons for customer outreach directly in Amazon Connect. Today, supervisors and contact centers lack real-time visibility into how live customer calls are progressing. There may be situations that need their immediate attention. Some examples include a customer asking to speak with a supervisor, the agent repeatedly saying, "I don't know," or an angry customer who can't access her benefits. In many cases, understanding these issues after the customer hangs up does not help the organizations to maintain great customer service. Contact Lens will allow supervisors to get a real-time view of live customer interactions, including real-time customer sentiment progression and alerting based on predefined words and phrases. As always, your data is your data. Rich metadata for every contact, such as call transcripts, sentiment, categorization labels, talk speed, and interruptions, will be available to you for exporting for further analysis. In the next demo, we are going to demonstrate a recording of a conversation between the customer and the agent with Contact Lens enabled.
Hello, Megan. My name is Brandon. I see you're calling regarding your CalFresh benefits today. How may I assist you?
Hi, Brandon. Today is the first day of the month, and I'm trying to purchase food for my family, and there are no funds available on my EBT card. What's going on? Where are my benefits?
I'm very sorry to hear about that, Megan. I'll do my best to assist you with this matter. Thank you for authenticating with our self-service. I do see your case here. I just need to verify a couple of things to see what's going on with your benefits.
How long is this going to take? I'm still at the grocery store.
My apologies. This shouldn't take much longer. After reviewing your case, it looks like your card was not activated.
I really don't have any time to waste. I'm at the store now, and it's ridiculous that I have to go to the county office to activate.
I understand, Megan. The good news is that you don't have to go into the office today. I'll be able to fix this by activating your card right now. If you would just give me a minute, I'll take care of that for you.
Oh, wow, that's great news. Thank you.
I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you, but I've gone ahead and resolved that issue. You should now be able to continue with your purchase.
Oh, that's really great to hear. Thank you very much, Brandon.
You're welcome. Is there anything else I may help you with today?
That should be all. Thank you.
Thank you for calling, and I'm glad we're able to take care of you today. Goodbye.
As you can see on the screen, we have an audio recording and a transcript of the whole conversation available for review. You can see sentiment for each phrase. We see that when the customer was upset and how they got more satisfied throughout the call. We can also see overall customer sentiment over the duration of the call. In our case, it went from initially negative to positive. We can also see additional valuable call metadata such as conversation speed, interruptions, time on hold, and others.
Today, many businesses use different technologies to handle phone calls and chats in their contact centers. This creates a disjointed experience for customers and introduces significant operational inefficiencies for supervisors and managers. Customers feel like they are calling two separate businesses. Amazon Connect truly gives an omni-channel contact center, and it was built that way from the ground up. The interaction we heard between Megan, the customer, and Brandon, the agent, can be implemented in a chat as well. The contact flow, the queue, the Lex chatbot, and all the management and reporting interfaces are all exactly the same. This is a massive opportunity because, for the first time, end customers can truly enjoy the same personal, dynamic, and natural experience across all channels, with agents using the same softphone and supervisors using the same dashboards. No time wasted building things twice. In this next demo, you will see how Megan has a true omni-channel experience when she reaches out about her EBT card. What you can see on the screen is Amazon Connect integration with a customer portal. Let's imagine that it was very noisy in the grocery store, and instead of calling into the contact center, Megan decided to use a website instead. Her interaction starts with Amazon Lex. The chatbot offers help with answers to frequently asked questions or other services. Megan needs help with her benefits, so she asks about it. Because access to such information requires authentication, Amazon Lex asks for Megan's date of birth and a social security number. When chatbot successfully validates Megan's credentials, it checks if there are any events that Megan could potentially be helped with. Megan has an appointment scheduled, so Lex is offering help with it. Megan is pointing out that she has a problem with her EBT card. Because there is no automated solution available at the moment, Amazon Lex is transferring Megan to a contact center agent. It is also possible to allow customers to select which channel they would like to use to communicate with the contact center agent. For example, when our Lex bot finds that next step should be a transfer to an agent, it can ask if Megan wants to chat with an agent or have a call. If she selects a call, LexBot can schedule a call back to her phone number instead of continue with the chat session. In our case, the contact center agent was able to resolve the problem. Megan closed the chat and then realized that she forgot to ask for her EBT balance. She would like to continue the conversation with the agent. And as soon as she types in the chat, she gets connected to an agent. All conversational history is available, and the agent can continue helping Megan from the point where they stopped last time. One important thing to mention, this narrative was produced using Amazon Polyneural Engine. This new feature provides more natural text-to-speech results and will be available for Amazon Connect in the near future.
We hope you enjoyed the demos today. As you saw, Amazon Connect can enable you to build personal and natural experiences with your customers. The best part is that AWS is consistently releasing new services and features. Being part of the larger ecosystem gives you the ability to tap into these technologies and continue to evolve as you serve your customers.
Mark Spitzer and Alex from AWS, along with June, Laura, and John Dre, will join me for the Q&A period. And I know there is one comment from the public, which June will address. But first, Mark Spitzer has a couple comments on the video that AWS prepared, and we will then take questions from the board and general membership.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So we are again, I want to express our excitement about this migration and what these, the demonstration of these coming features can represent to the consortium. You know, you also saw in one demo the use of social security numbers for authentication. That may not be and probably is not the consortium's business practice. It's only an example of any data points you could use in the authentication process. It's really just up to the consortium.
Thanks, Mark. So do we have any questions from the, do we have any questions from the board or general membership? Okay, hearing none.
Yeah.
June will address the comment that was made in chat.
I heard someone speak up.
Yeah, this is Antonia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Antonia.
Great. Well, I love that presentation. I thought it was great. I'm looking forward to us to have something similar here in LA. I did have one question. Is there any way that the system can let the manager know that there's something going on a call so they can step in and help?
Yeah. So essentially, what you're talking about is doing doing an automatic escalation to the manager instead of the participant asking or the agent deciding. And you're asking whether that is on an existing capability or on the roadmap. Is that correct, Antonia?
That's correct.
Great question. Mark or Alex, can you address that?
I'm going to punt Alex on that one.
Alex on mic.
So this is John Dre. I believe that one is on the current roadmap for contact lens. It's not currently available as of right now, but it's on the roadmap.
Great, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for that question. I was excited to hear the answer myself. So do we have any more questions? Okay, hearing none, we will go over to the public comment that we received in chat that June will address.
Good morning. Oh, good morning. Sorry, I was checking my things to make sure I was on video and unmuted. We did have a question in the chat about the AWS contact lens analysis. And for those of you not looking at the chat, the question was, can it be identified, or can we also look at the transcripts and the dialogue for conversation in languages other than English? And can trends be assessed by language to identify issues that may be unique to those demographics? Since this is a future opportunity for us with AWS Connect, it's not currently in scope, but at the time that we do decide to implement this technology, then we certainly will look to see how many languages we're able to implement that in. So the specific answer to your question is at this time it is unknown because we haven't finalized any process to move forward with that new functionality.
Great, thanks, June. Did we have any other comments from the public? Okay, hearing none.
Oh, sorry, this is David at the Western Center.
Sorry, David, I think there's another question from a PSC member in the chat. What are the conversation outcomes for persons who speak English as a second language?
I'm not sure. Could I get a little clarification on the question? I'm not sure I understand the question. Unless any
PSC member able to unmute and clarify?
Oh, hi, this is Jessie Paran from Marin County. I apologize, I'm having trouble unmuting myself. So great presentation. Just curious, the examples that were presented were, you had situations where people spoke fairly clearly. I was wondering what like the real life testing looks like for people who the line may be garbled or for whom English may be a second language.
I understand. So what you're asking is like if somebody is interacting with the system in English, but for whatever reason, whether it's the line quality or maybe an accent that they have, how well does the system handle that interaction? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, I'll just speak for myself. My car still doesn't understand me, and I've owned it for 4 years. The voice recognition does not understand me at all.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that question is that Amazon and other and all of the sort of other companies that are working in the space are constantly trying to improve that, and and as you've probably noticed, even though you probably end up yelling, even though as you said you end up yelling at your car, and I end up yelling at my Google Home when it doesn't listen, when I feel like it doesn't hear what I said, like it is continuing to get better all the time. And that is one of the things we'll be doing as we look at these technologies, is lots of testing with them to make sure that they meet the quality that we need them to have.
Thank you.
think David from the Western Center had want to make a public comment. David, are you there?
Yes, hi, thank you. And sorry if I spoke a little too soon earlier. That last question was very in line with the comment I wanted to make. That was a very quiet supermarket that person was calling from. So I think we just need to be very mindful of the real life circumstances of people calling and trying to access services and taking them all into account, especially the proven scientific, racially biased implementation of algorithmic mechanisms like this. So we'll look forward to working with you in the stakeholder process on some improvements and testing. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for your comment.
Any other public comments?
This is Kevin. Do you hear me?
Yes, Kevin.
Okay. So this language thing, do you guys have any kind of a plan as to when it's going to be multi-language?
We don't currently have a plan in place for implementing this. This is a potential future feature that we wanted to give you guys a preview of to start thinking about how we could better serve participants, but there isn't currently a plan in place for it.
So this is just a proposed feature. It's not being done by anybody? Nobody's using this?
It is a demonstration. We are not currently using it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments?
Okay, Mike, there's one more in the chat. And if you don't mind, I'll just read it for those that may not be looking at the chat. This is from Jennifer Tracy, and we strongly encourage the CalSAWS to include this capability for other languages so that their needs and interests can also be included in decision-making based on this type of data. Based on research in the last year, language access is one of the biggest barriers for people to accessing benefits. We really need to see more parity based on language. And thank you, Jennifer, for your comment.
Okay. Very in line with the others. Okay, believe that wraps up public comment for that item. We got another presentation item now to pull up. Or Scott, are you facilitating this one too?
Yeah, June will now guide you through our next Vista point.
Yes, so this next one is very exciting because OCAT is coming to a county near you or the county you're sitting in very, very soon. And so we have a demonstration of the new OCAT functionality.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Martindale, and I'm with Cambria Solutions. I'm here today to give you a demo of what's to come in the modernized OCAT solution. OCAT provides caseworkers with a web-based application that generates a questionnaire that then provides these caseworkers with recommendations, generating an appraisal summary report. Cambria Solutions has been engaged with the consortium to modernize OCAT and replace what the counties currently use with a new solution that will be integrated with all three consortium systems, CalWIN, C4, and LRS. Before I go into the system and show you a live demo of what's to come, I'll speak briefly about the new process that counties will be experiencing. In today's world, OCAT is fully standalone. Caseworkers conduct the entire OCAT process within OCAT alone, initiating and completing the interview. In the 2B process, caseworkers will be able to initiate the interview process from their source CalSAWS system, whether that be CalWIN, C4, or LRS. From this screen, caseworkers in C4 and LRS will be able to initiate the OCAT interview process by going to the OCAT referral detail page and clicking the Send OCAT button. Upon doing so, the demographic information will be automatically transmitted to OCAT. And CalWIN users will be able to initiate the OCAT process from here. And now, as a caseworker, I will log into OCAT. We're going to start the demo from the login screen as a caseworker from Sacramento County. I'm going through the login workflow here and entering my password. And now I'm logged into OCAT. Now that I've logged into OCAT, I arrive at the client list page. This is the landing page for supervisors and caseworkers. So I'll pause here for a minute to talk about an important distinction from the current system to the new system. In the current system, when I log into OCAT, I only find interviews that are assigned to myself as a caseworker. What we found in talking to counties was that caseworkers needed to be able to find interviews that are assigned to them, assigned to other members on their team, and because of the interface, because we are now starting interviews from other systems, we also need users to find interviews that are not yet assigned at all. So now as a caseworker, when I arrive at this page, I see by default cases that are assigned to myself and cases that are unassigned. The users can manipulate these filters up here to see additional data other than the data that I just explained was shown by default, such as completed interviews. Now I'm going to navigate from this page to the interview list page for that record, Kristen Kindle. This was the record that I initiated from the CalWin system. You can see here on the right that OCAT is telling me the source of this interview was CalWin. So now I'm on the interview list page for Kristen Kindle. From this page, I can see the history of interviews that have occurred in OCAT for this client. Looking at this page, I can see that she has had interviews in Solano as well as Sacramento counties. This is an important distinction from the current system as well. When a client goes from one county to the next, no action is needed from Solano to allow the Sacramento caseworker to be able to work with that record. The Sacramento caseworker can come in, log into OCAT, and immediately work with that client. While a caseworker in a county does not need to transfer a case to a subsequent county in order for that second county to conduct an interview, the caseworker does have the option to share interviews with other counties by request. Amber Manana, one of our county champions from San Benito County, identified that this feature will be very easy for counties to use in order to share interviews. Now I'm on the questionnaire page for Kristen Kindle. The first feature I'm going to show is when I scroll down on this page, I'm seeing pre-populated into this interview all of the information that came from CalWin. The information that came from CalWin is indicated by these blue indicators next to the demographic fields. All of these fields were right here available for me as a caseworker when I came to this interview for the first time. If a caseworker wants to change information in OCAT, that is completely okay and allowed within the OCAT system. And we will just understand with this gray indicator that this data is no longer in sync. It is important for caseworkers to understand that this data will not flow back to CalSAWS and change the data in those source systems. Jasmine Perigo, one of our county champions from Sacramento County, identified that this pre-population feature will save a lot of time. The general flow and look and feel of the questionnaire is very similar to what caseworkers see in the current system. We replicated all 45 pages of the questionnaire. There is one additional page for gender identity. As I navigate to various pages of the questionnaire as a caseworker, the indicators here let me know which pages I have visited and which pages I have not yet visited. Now I'm going to open the recommendations module to show the recommendations portion of the interview for this client. This is another important distinction from the current system in terms of workflow. While we maintained the questionnaire, recommendations, and ASR flow in a general sense, we have streamlined the process so that the caseworker can access the recommendations for that particular interview all from this same panel and from this same screen. When I navigate into the recommendations pages for this client, I can see the different strengths, barriers, and possible recommendations that she has in order to be successful in the Welfare to Work program. In this example, I can see that for Kristen Kindle, we found fluency in Spanish and Portuguese, which is why that is showing up here on this page. If I navigate further into the pages of recommendations, I can see that this client has several recommendations across different areas from the results of her questionnaire. Another change on this page is just a minor change that we implemented to help expedite the process for entering action plans for the caseworker. In the future state of OCAT, caseworkers will be able to enter their action plans directly in line with the recommendation that they see on the screen. This is just designed to expedite the process and allow caseworkers to more quickly navigate their way through these screens. Once I've reviewed all of the recommendations pages, I am able to navigate to a preview of the final appraisal summary report. This is another important new feature that we're seeing in the future state of OCAT that's a distinction from the current state. In the future state, the caseworker will be able to look through the entire final report, and if they see anything confusing or maybe not reflecting what they expected, the caseworker can navigate back to the questionnaire pages, make changes, re-answer questions, and even clean up their action plans within the recommendations module. Before navigating back to the ASR preview and making the decision to generate the ASR. Once I click this button to generate the ASR, the user will be presented with a final PDF. This step will then lock the interview just like it does today. In addition to simply locking the interview in OCAT, we will also be transmitting the appraisal summary report back to the source CalSAWS system that started the interview. And this completes the new integrated experience for the caseworkers in the Welfare to Work program. In working with Joel Acevedo, lead business analyst with the consortium, we understand that this partnership and this integration will serve as a very valuable tool for the caseworkers and the customers, providing a better experience for everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to show you what we've been working on, and we are very excited about the benefits that this new tool will bring to both caseworkers and participants in the Welfare to Work program across the state.
Great. Okay, so are there any questions from the board members on the particular presentation on OCAT? Okay, how about any public comment before we move on to the next item? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to Highland presentation. Oh, no.
I have a comment.
Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, are we still in OCAT or are we going to go, are we still in OCAT?
The last presentation was OCAT, so this is a public comment on that presentation.
Okay, how about this? What do you, this looks like OCAT 2 over here. Okay, we finished. Okay, so we would like, I would like more information about this item. This is an overview, and we have no idea exactly what kinds of questions are asked to the client, what their answers are, and what the outcomes are. So, and I'm very happy that the workers and the champions have been involved in this, but we have been totally excluded in this process. And this is vital to our clients. And we have no idea what's coming up. And I'm not sure why we were excluded from this process, but we were. And we would like to have a robust in a holistic involvement in this process before it goes forward. Is that possible, or are we just out of luck?
I'll take your comment and advisement. We'll basically use our stakeholder engagement forums to discuss those matters. And it does look like, Kevin, you're right, there is some presentation still remaining that June was going to speak to that's still on OCAT. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back over to June to finish.
Okay.
Hi there, this is June. And I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, and she's going to just give a little bit of an overview of this last slide.
Jennifer, you off mic? Are you on mic?
Hi, this is Ron. I think Jennifer actually just lost internet briefly, so I will jump in and cover for her.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, we got backups in place. Okay, so yeah, what this is showing is really our next steps here. I mean, you kind of see where we're at leading up to this 7/20 date, and the importance of 7/20 is really that's when we begin training and UAT. And so we've been doing a lot of readiness activities leading up to that with the county champions. We've been doing monthly calls, working with the champions and the RMs, working on some of the preparation and readiness items, and then getting ourselves ready for the commencement of UAT and training. And so a lot of work is going into that. I know there's been communications that have been sent out to all the counties and getting folks identified and ready for the execution of UAT. And the training materials are currently being developed and close to being submitted. And so that will allow access eventually to there's a combination of some kind of desk guides and also web-based trainings along with the training environment. And then, we've got all the readiness communications that will lead up to a go live on August 24th. And, once we go live, we obviously have our support structures in place. We're working on our help desk, and further communications will go out around decommissioning of the existing or current OCAT system. So that's just kind of a high level of the timeline and key activities that are leading up to begin our go live on August 24th.
Okay, great. Does that conclude the OCAT presentation?
That is what we have planned, Michael.
Okay, great. I do see that there was one other public comment. What are the available options in OCAT for gender identity? Do they include beyond male, female? Has that been determined? Additionally, does CalSAWS have a plan or strategy in place to ensure equity lens is applied to all these tactical solutions? That is something that we'll make sure any of these comments are brought to the team and that they're shared during, responses are shared during our stakeholder engagement forums that can have more interactive back and forth. So thank you for that comment. Okay, I believe we have another item coming up, and that is Highland presentation.
Scott, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm ready. So the video we're going to show shows several features that are in the Highland cloud-based imaging solution. It starts with an overview of the capture process. Then it shows how Brainware, which is its artificial intelligence, helps with document classification. And then there is an example of potential future enhancement with Brainware extraction. And finally, it ends by showing the integration with CalSAWS and some document retrieval. All the features in the video, except for the unstructured data extraction, are in scope for the 58 county solution that Highland and Accenture are implementing. That unstructured data extraction, which is clearly noted as not in scope in the video, demonstrates a potential future capability that might provide more automation and business value to the counties. And so please play the video.
To begin our presentation today, I'd like to share a visual overview of how the unified Highland platform will support our future state CalSAWS imaging solution. Our story begins with a customer submitting eligibility documents to a worker. As you can see here under the far left capture box, this can happen a number of ways: through an online portal submission, mobile submission, in-person delivery, mail-in, or any number of other external systems. Following this capture flow, the documents are then automatically classified using a combination of barcode recognition and Highland's brainware software. Highland's brainware software, at its core, is a highly advanced OCR engine allowing template-free processing. It also has intelligent extraction capabilities that CalSAWS can enable in future enhancements to the CalSAWS imaging solution. For context, approximately 350,000 documents are received across all counties for processing each day, or 7 million monthly. The future state Highland platform is ready and optimized for this high volume. The solution will have the capacity to process up to 90,000 pages in less than an hour. That equates to about 1,500 pages per minute. By design, the imaging solution will have multiple capture modes to support the various business processes. Throughout our example today, we'll be processing 9 different documents. You can see those sample documents popping up here on the screen. Now we will open up the Highland Capture and Indexing application. The Capture and Indexing application will be the future state web interface for initiating all scan jobs. You can now see the scanned documents over here on the left side. The worker can now do a quality check on the images based on their county QA process. Any CalSAWS generated forms will have case content and information such as document type and form information gathered from the barcode. In addition, any tracked barcoded document from the customer are automatically marked as received in the CalSAWS application following this step. We always joke that a brainware demo isn't the most exciting thing. This is because the classification and extraction occurs behind the scenes, without the user seeing anything. So we've created a short animation to show you how this technology will work, along with possible future enhancements. The first part of the animation illustrates functionality and processing that is included in the CalSAWS imaging solution. The second part is an example of a potential future CalSAWS enhancement using brainware's powerful extraction capabilities. Highland's brainware technology automates many of the manual steps that bog down the process, like entering tedious document information by classifying, processing, and transforming paper-based and digital documents into useful, actionable information. Here's how it works. Customer eligibility documents are digitally captured through the Capture and Indexing app on the Highland platform. Once in the system, the solution analyzes each document and reads the information much like a human brain. It does so through patented brainware intelligent classification technology. A series of predefined rules and pattern-based recognition algorithms allow the solution to self-learn, so it can automatically identify and assign unindexed documents to document types, without the need for document templates or forms. And it does so 8 times faster than a human. If for any reason the solution is unable to classify a document, or if it recognizes multiple classifications, it routes the exceptions for manual review within Perceptive Content. Caseworkers review exceptions and verify or correct the information before final archival and task generation in CalSAWS. Brainware is also an advanced intelligent data extraction product for scanned and electronic documents. It can intelligently lift targeted fields and line item detail based on a document's context, validate it, and seamlessly pass it to core business applications, in this case, to CalSAWS. For example, take the county forms that we saw scanned in earlier. Each county form has a specific form number printed towards the bottom, which uniquely identifies the type of form. Brainware reads and identifies this form number from the document. Using the extracted form number, it performs a real-time lookup to validate it against the list of form numbers provided by CalSAWS. This ensures that what Brainware found was an actual valid form number. In addition to what's being done at CalSAWS, this same Brainware extraction technology can be used to automate even more tasks. Did you know that more than 80% of business information is trapped inside unstructured, unmanaged documents? It's trapped because most organizations don't have the time or resources to manually keep all of the information from their invoices, transcripts, purchase orders, or in this case, benefits documents. Instead, they key what they can to process the documents, losing the remaining valuable insight that's still locked inside. Manual data entry has always been a bottleneck to this type of document process automation. until brainware. Our proprietary technology uses advanced pattern recognition techniques that allow it to automatically capture the complex data that you're keying today. It only needs a small sample set of documents to process extraction for high volumes of widely diverse layouts without missing a beat, even when handling documents in different languages and currencies. You'll know extraction is working with real-time visibility into key performance indicators, metrics, and business analytics. Looking at the pay stub and other person-level documents that were classified in our earlier example, we can take this automation to the next level. In future phases, brainware could make a call to CalSAWS using the extracted values, like Social Security number and date of birth, to retrieve all the information about the people that are identified as part of that case. Once we get the detailed person-level information back, like first and last name, brainware's engine can validate and match the information against what was extracted. This additional validation further minimizes scenarios which require user intervention. With brainware, you'll have greater control over the information lifecycle, promote compliance to standardized processes, and have actionable data from your documents that was never available before. All of this so you can spend less time on keying and routing documents and more time on value-added tasks. Believe me, that was a much more enjoyable way to see brainware in action. All the brainware automation occurred behind the scenes, performing the classification, extraction, and validation work. We hope you enjoyed the sneak peek of a potential CalSAWS future enhancement. To close out the demo, we will now view the documents that we previously captured and processed. Our worker is within the CalSAWS application and performing their daily activities. From the context of the case, they can click the Images button to seamlessly review the images stored within the repository. This will launch the user into a cross-sectional view of the case or person, limited based on the user's assigned security in the CalSAWS application. You can see here we can open up any of these documents to further view the images themselves or any associated metadata stored within them. These also now have all of the typical imaging controls that you would expect to find within a content repository, such as annotations, workflow, or any other activities that may need to be performed within the imaging solution. Additionally, this viewer allows us to support over 550 file types natively, without having any additional software stored or installed on the workstations in question, allowing workers to focus on processing cases rather than worrying about what they're able to view or not. All of these activities can be audited, with a detailed full history and reporting available on the documents. That's it for the presentation today. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes the Highland presentation. Do we have any comments from the board members?
Hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Oh, just 1 second, Kev. Board members, any comments or questions from the board members? Okay, how about public comment?
Yeah, this is Kevin. I didn't see anything about documentation or some kind of confirmation that the customer gets that verification was submitted. Is there, because the statute provides for that?
Okay. Well, conclude your comment?
Well, I'm not barking, okay? I'm asking a question. I would like a response. I apologize for talking, okay? I mean, this is a concern. Maybe I'll do another PRA on this too.
Kevin, your concern's been taken and we'll make sure that it's addressed. Every one of these are documented so that we can incorporate them in. So thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, all right, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. I believe that's automated assistance demo.
Thanks, Michael. So I'm going to give a brief update on automated assistance. As you know, our goal with automated assistance is simply to automate routine tasks so that workers can focus on helping people. The project's been working with both San Bernardino County and LA County on potential pilots for automated assistance. So these projects have not been started. We are still discussing them with each of the counties. These solutions really complement each other. The Los Angeles County solution would be focused on adding some self-service capabilities through what we call an application programming interface to work with the Los Angeles County DPSS Customer Service Center infrastructure. What that means is that instead of building the solution into the infrastructure or replacing any LA infrastructure, we would just be working on getting the contact center the information that it needs through that interface. The San Bernardino solution, on the other hand, would be built directly on the CalSAWS Amazon Connect infrastructure that's being used by the 39 counties. And I'll describe both of those solutions briefly on the next couple of slides. If you could go to the next slide. So for the LA County solution that we're looking at, the scenarios are to update contact information and to replace both EBT and BIC cards. And this would be through several channels. The first is adding that capability of self-service into the interactive voice response system, and also having it available in the web channel, either directly from the portal, the customer portal, or being redirected from users who are in the IVR system that want to move over to the chat. And that would be via a text to redirect them to the web page. Next slide, please. On the San Bernardino solution, we've been talking about 3 potential automated assistants to pilot with them. The first is in the authentication area. You know, one of the most important things we can do in the interactive voice response system is to be able to authenticate the participants, because if you don't authenticate them, you can't answer detailed questions about their case. And so we've been talking for a long time with counties about, you know, additional ways to improve that. And what we're talking about with San Bernardino now is currently, if none of the existing authentication methods work in the IVR, they eventually talk to a worker who the first thing that worker does is ask them a series of questions, which are sort of their last resort for authenticating them. And the idea that we've talked about is, why don't we just ask those same 6 questions to the participant in the IVR instead of making them go and talk to a worker for it. And the next area is push notifications, where instead of making the participant go through the IVR to find what they're looking for, to do some predictions based on the information in their case about what they would be looking for, and just give those notifications to them as soon as they authenticate. And then the third potential area is for adding some natural language processing. So instead of making them go through the IVR menus, to ask them what areas, to let them ask for the help they need, and if that matches one of the self-service, directing them directly to that self-service feature. And so we're looking at doing a small pilot with San Bernardino on this this calendar year. And that is all I have for this topic.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Any questions or any comments from the board members on automated assistance? Okay, hearing none. Any comments from the public on the automated assistance presentation?
Can we have a copy of the questions that they ask, or is there something in writing about this proposal that that you guys could share with us?
Yeah, all the presentations and any public comments will all be documented and made available.
No, I'm not asking about that. I understand that. I'm just asking for, like he said, that there's questions that the workers ask and the system is going to ask the same questions. I have no idea what those questions are and what questions the system is going to ask. Is that online?
Okay, so we'll take back your question about how the questions are addressed and make sure that in any future presentation that's addressed. Thank you very much for that public comment. Any other public comments? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Good morning again. We are to roadside safety. on our journey and our road to CalSAWS. So we wanted to just take a few minutes and highlight what we're calling the CalSAWS toolbox. So in the toolbox, next slide, in the toolbox, there are a number of things that will be able to help you as long as we build CalSAWS and as you get closer and closer as a county in moving to CalSAWS. Certainly, you know, we're on the same path. Whether you are a C4 county or a CalWin county, you're on the same path to CalSAWS, but your journey may be slightly different. And you will use the toolbox in different ways and at different times as you move along your journey. So let's take a look at what's in that toolbox. So in the toolbox, we have a few different drawers that are available. So you're going to hear a little bit more about this later on in the next presentation, but we just want to remind folks that we have a lot of information out on calsaws.org. There is a wealth of information out there that is helpful to not only county leadership, but also to your staff as well, as to learn about the journey to CalSAWS. We also have the LRS Sandbox environment available. This is a copy of LRS production with mass data that counties can go in and click around and get to know the system. And we encourage you to use that along the way as one of your tools. JIRA is also a software application, and that software application houses all of the SCRs, whether they're in draft form or the beginnings of the form, or whether they've already been implemented. And your county staff have access to JIRA if they're on committees or if they're PPOCs or et cetera. So use that tool to your advantage. And then the regional managers, you know, on this journey to CalSAWS, I would say that your regional managers are like your AAA, right? If you're stuck on the side of the road, who are you going to call? You're going to call somebody to bring help, to send help, to provide you information to solve your problem. And that is your regional manager. So please continue to use them, especially in these times that we have now where they are not able to be out there visiting with your staff or meeting in person with you. Please use them as your guides and your lifeline to CalSAWS migration. We also have the web portal, which is our internal website that has an awful lot of information on it for the counties to access. There are the LRS web-based trainings that should be used maybe hand in hand with that LRS sandbox so that folks can watch the WBTs and then be able to go into the sandbox and try it out, test it out, go in there and create a case and really play with the system and get involved with the system and get familiar with it. There are also on the web portal some recorded demonstrations. We recently had one a week or so ago on application or on appointment scheduling, excuse me, and those are out on the web portal. We have the CalSAWS Buzz, which is our newsletter that's going out for the county. That's also posted on calsaws.org. And we also have the county information transmittal. So you know that we're sending you information from, and I'm sure you get a lot more than you ever expected, but we're sending you a lot of county information transmittals to make sure that you and your staff are kept informed of all of the changes that are being made into CalSAWS, not only those related to migration. We also encourage you, as we move out of our pandemic phase, to use your neighboring counties as your one of your tools that you have in the toolbox. Go visit those counties, tour their lobbies, tour their contact centers. All of these counties that we just talked about that are already on Amazon Connect. Take a field trip, go see it in action, sit with those agents in those counties and see how it works. I personally would love to go to Humboldt and sit with a couple of those workers up there. And then volunteer as we get closer to go live support. Even if you're not using the system, or you're a Calhoun County that's not going live, you can be helpful as the C4 counties go live, and being there for go live support, and then gain knowledge for your own go live. So that's a little bit about the CalSAWS toolbox. And I'll turn it back over to Michael for any questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, June. Any questions or any comments from the board members on the toolbox presentation? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. How about any public comments on this particular presentation?
Yeah, I can't find, this is Kevin, I can't find the CalSAWS toolbox presentation for the meeting on on your webpage.
Okay.
You know what they're hiding?
Not hiding anything. We'll make sure that that's up there if for some reason it's not.
And how about the other ones, the previous one? Can you make sure that they're all posted, please?
All presentations will be posted, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comment. Okay, any other public comments before we move on to the next item? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to our welcome home item.
Thank you. It's back to me again. This is June. Before we start the video, I do just want to make a couple of comments. This is, you've seen a lot of things today. This is our first virtual conference, and it's kind of felt like CalSAWS movie night. So to end the CalSAWS movie night is one last video that we want to show you, and this is in conjunction and partnership with San Diego County. The idea of this video is to be the first of, we hope, many opportunities for staff out in the field to get to know the CalSAWS system. And one of the things that we would like staff to know and to get familiar with is the homepage. We recognized after speaking with staff out in different venues that there's an awful lot of folks out there that have no idea even what CalSAWS is going to look like. So this is a video that will describe the homepage. And so we would like to premiere the welcome home video at this time.
Hello and welcome home. Pardon our dust, we are in the process of expanding our house to include all of California's 58 counties under one roof. As we move along in this migration construction, we will use our toolbox to help us get the job done. Over the next few years, C4 and CalWin will join LRS as CalSAWS users. By 2023, we will have completed the federal mandate to have all counties on one system. As we make this historic move to one system, CalSAWS will grow to 70,000 users and will serve 15.7 million of the most vulnerable Californians. Once migration has been completed, CalSAWS will support users by providing enhanced automation which will enable streamlined access to essential services that promote healthy families. Join us on this journey as we move into one large home and become CalSAWS. C4 users will be joining LRS users in our new home. Once C4 is settled in, Calvin users will begin to move. Communication between counties will be easier than ever before, and our customers will benefit from our collaborative environment. As we arrive to our new home, the current residents are waiting and excited to introduce the new layout. Come on in and get comfortable. We are eager to show you your new homepage. CalSAWS homepage welcomes you by name and worker ID. The worker ID field displays as a drop list, allowing you to select if you are assigned more than one. Your county may use multiple worker IDs for various reasons. If your county does not, your worker ID will display as a text line. A case can be accessed by using the county and case number fields. With up-to-date announcements, you'll see important release information, release notes, and county-specific messages. Quick Links gives you direct access to your reception log and reminders. My Tasks allows you to view your upcoming and any overdue tasks, while My Schedule displays a quick view of your schedule. My New Assignments shows a count of assignments by program, allowing you to access your workload directly from the homepage. My Reminders displays reminders you have created and their due dates. Business Intelligence allows you to view reports in the data warehouse. From our homepage, we can go many places. Let's take a look at where the navigation bars go. The global navigation bar leads to data collection pages and allows case actions to be completed. The utility navigation bar allows you to access the journal, online help, resources, and images. From any page in CalSAWS, you can click the CalSAWS logo and you will always return home. As we move toward migration, our toolbox contains tools to ensure a smooth transition. Some of these tools are the CalSAWS website with up-to-date information, hands-on materials, system environments, and updates on what is coming soon. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Be sure to visit calsaws.org and tune in for future CalSAWS videos.
Again, just a quick thank you to San Diego and their team for helping us put that together. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, June. I appreciate that. So I believe that's the last presentation, John?
Yeah, that brings us to the end of our agenda, Michael. We know that we had a number of public comments and things like that. We will be documenting all those, making sure everything's posted out to our website, and we have lots of things to be able to talk with our advocate partners at the next customer engagement meeting to be able to address some of those questions. So we appreciate everybody participating in the engagement that we had.
Great. And I want to thank everybody for participating in this Zoom format. You know, we're in challenging times. It brings out the character in all of us. So thank you very much for being flexible. And I really like the theming. We are really on a journey together, and I'm excited about the ride, the road ahead. So if there's no other items, John, then we'll
Michael,
go ahead.
The only other thing that I want to message is people can log off at the end of this. PSC members, we are going to have our project steering committee very brief meeting to elect co-chairs, and that meeting is going to commence as posted on the agenda right at noon, Jen?
12:15.
12:15. So there is about a half hour before we commence that meeting at 12:15 and have one agenda item, that's election of the PSC co-chairs. Sorry, we have to wait till 12:15, but that is what was on the posted agenda.
Okay, so outside of PSC members, then we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much. See you guys in July.